It's 10 p.m. in Banjul, and from our studios on MDI Road, this is the news. First, the headlines. Christians mark the end of 40 days of fasting and penance with somber prayer services and other traditions associated with the commemoration of Good Friday. Mauritania defeat the Gambia 2-1 in the first leg of their 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifications encounter. GAMWorks finally scales the hurdle that prevented lawmakers from giving the Public Works Management Agency's 2014 activity report and financial statement a clean bill of health. And Belgian and French law enforcement officers conduct swoops on several locations in Brussels and Paris in a desperate effort geared towards preventing more terror attacks. These and other stories coming ahead in this half hour. I'm WINIFRED NICOL. Thanks for joining us once again. Christians around the world are marking Good Friday, the day Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross to save mankind from sin, according to scriptures. The faithful flock to church at midday for the Stations of the Cross, which is the reenactment of the suffering of Jesus Christ. Grts' Louis Mendy tells us that biblical story.
Good Friday in the Christian calendar is the climax of the Lenten season. The day is not only observed by the preparation and sharing of Nanbur, but it is also a moment when most churches, particularly the Catholics, dramatize the passion of Jesus Christ.
Master, we know that all that is right, but always speak the truth without regards to what authority opens up.
He always had the nature of God, but he did not think that by force he should try to remain equal with God. Instead of this, of his own free will, he gave up all he had and took the nature of a servant. He became like a human being and appeared in human likeness. He was humbled and walked the path of obedience all the way to death.
The dramatized passion highlights the 14 stations of the cross, representing Jesus' passion and death. At each station, Christians reflect prayerfully upon Jesus' suffering, death, and resurrection.
His death on the cross. For this reason, God raised him to the highest place above and gave him the name that is greater than any other name. And so, in honor of the name of Jesus, all being in heaven, on earth, and in the world below will fall on their knees.
The first station reminds Christians of that awesome moment Jesus stood alone in front of Pontius Pilate, accepting criticism and unfairness without complaining. Jesus was not only condemned to death, but made to carry his cross in a painful fashion.
Upon him was the punishment that makes us whole. By his stripes we were healed. We had all gone astray like sheep, each following his own way. But the Lord lay upon him the guilt of us all.
Died and buried, on the third day he resurrected.
The world could love what is its own, because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. Therefore, the world hates you. Remember the words that I have spoken to you. No servant is greater than his master. If they have persecuted me, they will persecute you also.
The central message of the Lord's Passion, therefore, invites the lay faithful to take up Jesus' journey on the cross so as to make their Easter joy complete. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Well, before the day itself, Christians in the Gambia start making preparations for nanburu, the delicious local dish made of rice flour and baobab juice, sharing the meal especially with Muslim neighbors, friends, and in some cases family members, helps reinforce the strong ties between Christians and Muslims. Samuel Ba has more on how the famous nanburu is prepared.
Nanburu, a traditional Gambian drink, is a key feature linked with the Easter feast, prepared and served on Good Friday, which also marks the end of Christian fasting. The local drink has over the years served as an enviable bond, linking Gambians who continue to partake in each other's feast. In this special edition, of course, we will lead you through the process, how nanburu is prepared. The preparation of nanburu requires key essentials, and the whole process could be laborious.
The ingredients needed for nanburu: you have sugar, you have rice, you need baobab, then flavorings, essence, different flavors. Then you have sukur vani. These are the ingredients, and the baobab. These are the ingredients you need for making nanburu.
From the acquiring of basic essentials to the sieving of the baobab and the steaming of the rice that is prepared into small balls. The steamed rice balls are then mixed with the baobab content with the addition of ordinary water.
First of all, we start with the picking of the baobab. That is removing the particles in the baobab. Then the rice, you wash the rice, turn it into powder, then make it into bowls like what you have out there. Okay, when this is done, normally we do this overnight. That is to make things easy, because a lot of work is involved in making of nanburu. So we make it overnight, then in the morning we steam it. While it is on the fire steaming, we mix the baobab too. You have to soak it to make it easy to get it off the seeds.
The process continues with the mixing of the nanburu with scented sugar and various flavorings to give it a good taste.
Straight from the fire, we put it in the already sieved baobab, then you mix. That is the mixing process start. Yeah, when everything is mixed, then you put in your flavorings and your sugar, and it's ready to go. As you can see, my friends here helping me make the nanburu are all Muslims, and they come join me to make this nanburu. That shows the togetherness between we, the Christians, and the Muslims.
This is the finished product of the local drink, or the nanburu, which is now served among family and friends. A strong hallmark of the country's religious tolerance, where Christians and Muslims both partake in each other's religious feast. Samuel Ba, GRTS.
Some parishioners at Bethel Methodist Church on Friday staged an old tradition that seems to be losing its appeal. The creation of an effigy, which is a representation of Judas, the disciple that betrayed Jesus. Francis Mendy explains.
Although he is always vilified for his actions, one can safely say that if he had not gone ahead with the act, prophecy would not have been fulfilled, for Christians believe that Jesus Christ had to die on the cross to salvage mankind from sin. God perhaps has his own punishment, but for some, Judas or effigies which they used to represent him have to be punished on Good Friday. It is a tradition that used to be popular in Banjul, but its appeal seems to be on the wane. What is encouraging, however, is there are pockets where a few dedicated culture enthusiasts want to keep what is seen as a tradition alive.
This tradition is an age-old tradition within our local community here, because the people see it as a very sinful act for someone to have betrayed an innocent man who eventually got punished and was killed by crucifying him on the cross. So people saw it that he deserves a punishment. So people would make a model of this Judas, sewn with sackcloth, stuffed with hay, grass, dried grass, and then dress him up like a normal human being. And then usually it is done in the preceding days to Good Friday, and on Good Friday he will be put out in public to shame him first of all, and he will be there till midday.
Anticipation, especially among the children to whom the culture enthusiasts are trying to pass on the tradition, started building up well before it was time for them to pounce on the effigy.
Children would pull it along while some others would stone and flog it, and eventually they would drag it around the community, around the town, and eventually end up in the beach where they would set it alight and then burn it up. That is the climax of the punishment for Judas in the local community. That is to commemorate Judas's punishment, although his actual punishment was that after realizing the wrongful act he has committed, he hanged himself in a tree. But then this is our own way of doing it.
Young Salam Gorat, who is Muslim, is happy to be part of the young mob that set upon the effigy representing Judas. The excitement was palpable, although an accident could have occurred. Albert Coker, who is credited with playing a lead role in the revival and preservation effort, knows full well how it feels.
When my father was alive, he normally gathered bags and then sew it for us and then give us to do the same thing. So I believe that I have the right also to do it. So this is what really inspired me to be doing it every year. If you can see today, there were a lot of children that are Muslims. You will count few Christians, but all of them, they were Muslim, and they were so happy to see Judas outside dragging it up to the seaside and then set it on fire.
Children were certainly the main target of the activity. It, however, drew elders like this woman who embraced Islam 3 decades ago. She was quick to say that the Judas tradition helped refresh cherished childhood memories. The woman was also eager to say the Judas tradition's appeal can further bolster the strong bonds between people of different faiths. Francis Mendy, GRTS.
Dignitaries, including the Speaker of the National Assembly, Cabinet Ministers, National Assembly members, and others, are expected to attend regional celebrations marking the 51st anniversary of the attainment of independence. The traditional parade of security services personnel, school children, voluntary groups, and cultural troops, slated for Saturday, 26th March in Basse, Upper River Region, will be presided over by Governor Omar Sampo Sise. GRTS will bring a news report on the proceedings and highlights of the event. The Gambian Agency for the Management of Public Works, GAMWORKS, has finally sailed through the annual scrutiny of the activity reports and financial statement of public institutions by the Public Accounts and Public Enterprises Committees of the National Assembly. The lawmakers adopted the agency's 2014 activity report and financial statement after lengthy deliberations. Rohibite was following proceedings and she now reports.
It could be recalled that 2 weeks back, members of the PACPEC committee did reschedule the officials of the Gambia Agency for the Management of Public Works, GAMWORKS, following a query that the agency hired external auditors without consulting the Auditor General's office. Reappearing before deputies, officials of GAMWORKS presented their activity and financial reports for the year ended 2014. And according to Ibrahim Cham, the Director General of GAMWORKS, the agency has made significant progress over the year on the review, with the implementation of major projects, among them the community-based infrastructure and livelihood improvement project SLIP, the Granite Development Project, among others.
With the Gambia Community-Based Infrastructure and Livelihood Improvement Project, which is funded by the government of the Gambia and the Islamic Development Bank, the total project cost is $18.02 million. And the project has the main components of the project is the community project infrastructure facility, which has two sub-components.
A total revenue of 39,507,185, and for the same year we had total expenditure of 36,076,368, thus giving a surplus of 3,430,817 for the year.
That was followed by the auditor's report, in which the management responded to queries. Shortly after their presentations, deliberation continued for the scrutiny of their reports, despite being praised by members of the PACPEG for doing a good job in the implementation of development projects for government. Issues regarding GAMWORK's non-compliance of GPPA regulations and the board hiring of external auditors dominated proceedings.
Coming down to the public relations donation. Now, from 2013 to 2014, it's more than double. With the resource constraint of GAMWORKS and even yearning for a government subvention.
We will want to know your position, because for us, we believe that the Auditor General is mandated constitutionally for you to consult with him to be able to appoint your external auditors.
And if you go to page 11, they still have problems with the procurement policy, which according to the auditors is not in line with correct practices.
So I don't see any harm done going through the Auditor General to get a final clearance of those auditors, like banks will do with the central bank, before going to AGM.
Actually, they have done well in trying to revolutionize the construction industry by training most of these contractors that are registered with them, and they have set up a pool of consultants, etc., etc. But actually, there must be challenges along the way. There is no way anything can be 100%.
Management of GAMWORKS responded to the questions and concerns raised by deputies. According to its Director General, its board has been mandated by the Memorandum and Articles of GAMWORKS, which states that the board hires external auditors, but however promised, his management will look into issues raised.
In accordance to that Memorandum Article of Association, the appointment of the auditor is the responsibility of the board of directors of GAMWORKS. If you look at the Memorandum Articles of the decision of GAMWORKS, actually it says that nothing can be changed there without the approval of the government of the Gambia. But nevertheless, I think we have been trying to work with the Auditor General on this issue.
After what was a busy day, members of the Public Accounts and Public Enterprise Committee of the National Assembly adopted the activity and financial reports of GAMWORKS for the year under review.
After considering, adopts the annual report and audited financial statements of the Gambia Agency for the Management of Public Works, GAMWORKS, for the year ended 31st December 2014. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, say no. Yes, so congratulations again, GAMWORKS.
Rohibite, GRTS.
That report by Rohibite takes us to a forced break, but we will be back with news from outside the Gambia. Stay tuned.
Experience the fastest and most reliable internet connectivity at broadband speeds. We provide the nation's most recommended internet for secure corporate connectivity. We offer affordable broadband internet connectivity for homes and small businesses. Get online fast and secure with our professional web hosting and designing on .gm platform. Contact us today to hear how we can work for you. Yamtel, creating a brighter future in communication. Cash power purchase can be worrying sometimes, leaving you the struggle to find ways to save time and cut costs. But here comes the brightest idea. Stop queuing or paying extra to get electricity. Yamcell Scratch Power is the easiest way to buy cash power. No queue, no stress. Just top it up like your mobile phone, and the steps are easy. Simply scratch and type the PIN number, followed by the hash key, and your meter number, and send it by SMS to 166. It couldn't be simpler. You can buy $50, $100, $200, $300, or even $500 worth of cash power. Gamcel's cash power costs only $2 per SMS and it's available on Gamcel SIM cards only. Gamcel in partnership with NICOL, bringing electricity accessibility to your fingertips. Gamcel, Yangolo.
Welcome back. Christians around the world have started marking the final 2 days in the run-up to Easter Sunday. Pope Francis today celebrated Good Friday, a day Christians believe Jesus Christ was crucified, with a special Mass. Earlier today, the Pontiff also led a special procession in Rome. Several processions have been taking place in the Philippines and the US. More in this DWTV report.
It takes 100 men to carry the giant statue of Jesus on the cross. The holy procession here in Guatemala City winds its way through various neighborhoods. Its path is marked by colorful natural carpets. Volunteers from all over the city work on these rugs using sawdust, petals, and even vegetables. A rosette is what we call the design in the center of the rug. We look for figures to form a type of collage, giving it vibrant colors. In Spain, thousands attend the various processions around the country. Like here in Seville, centuries-old Easter traditions attract religious believers as well as other onlookers and visitors. Seville holds the most important Holy Week procession in Spain. It features what are known as pasos, floats of lifelike wooden sculptures depicting scenes of Christ's final hours or images of the grieving Virgin Mary. On Thursday, Pope Francis began the Easter rites by performing a foot-washing ritual. Francis washed and kissed the feet of Christian, Muslim and Hindu refugees. It was intended as a gesture of brotherhood at a time of increased anti-Muslim sentiment following the Brussels attacks.
Police in France and Belgium have made further arrests in their effort to crack down on terror networks. The attack, allegedly foiled in France, was in its advanced stages of planning. We have more in this DWTV report.
At least 6 people have been detained in Brussels raids linked to Tuesday's attacks. The search targeted neighborhoods where police had earlier found a huge stash of explosives. Similar scene in the French capital. Authorities there said they had foiled a terror attack linking the arrested suspect to the Paris attacks in November. This operation follows an important arrest made this morning by the General Directorate for Internal Security, which has enabled us to defeat a prospective terrorist attack in France that was at an advanced stage. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has traveled to Brussels in a show of solidarity. In his meetings with Belgian Prime Minister Michel and other officials, Kerry stressed that the United States stands firmly behind Belgium. He drew parallels to the 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center in New York.
You showed your solidarity with us, with the victims in New York and Washington and Pennsylvania. And then voices all across Europe declared, "Je suis Américain." So now we declare, "Je suis Bruxellois, ich bin Brüssel."
A Belgian daily reported that police have also arrested a man who was filmed in the airport terminal next to 2 suicide bombers, but prosecutors have not confirmed the arrest.
We take a second break now.
Hello beautiful viewers, this is the Observer Light again. Coming on our this weekend supplement, we bring in you Rebellion the Recaller's perspective about the Gambia's music industry, Baba's reaction to the Senegalese outrage about his relics, well wishes from the Gambian musicians to the Scorpions, and many more. Observer Light bringing you news, commentaries and analysis of the latest happenings in the world of sports and entertainment. Now join us with T. Small Suso at his rehearsal grounds on the preparation of the Sunni Musical's 6 years anniversary.
Sunu Musical on stage. You all know the date, 25th, live at Jakarlo Leoneka, and 26th, we come on Jokon Canal. This is something that we needed long time ago, and I am very happy to see it right here, right now, having displays of us on this. We need our own platform, not only on the music side, but on the media. And this is one thing I am very proud of. Shouts going out to Observer Light. Big up yourself. T Small say so.
That was Observer Light for this weekend's edition. Observer Light shining lights on Gambian talent.
My mom, LeBron, Diamond Doe.
And over now to sports. And over now to sports. In the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, the Gambia lost earlier Friday evening to Mauritania by 2-1. The Mauritanians left it late to win, thanks to a Sheikh Mauli Halibras. Mustafa Carriol scored on his debut to cancel out Khalid's opener, but the Mauritanians snatched a last-grab winner deep into stoppage time to earn all 3 points. The defeat leaves the Gambia without a win in Group M of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. More of the game will come in our subsequent news bulletin. And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. Christians are marking the end of 40 days of fasting and penance with somber prayer services and other traditions associated with the commemoration of Good Friday. Mauritania has defeated the Gambia 2-1 in the first leg of their 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifications encounter. GAMWorks have finally scaled the hurdle that prevented lawmakers from giving the Public Works Management Agency's 2014 activity report and financial statement a clean bill of health. And Belgian and French law enforcement officers have conducted swoops on several locations in Brussels and Paris in a desperate effort geared towards preventing more terror attacks. Well, viewers, that was all in this edition of the News at 10. From me, WINIFRED, NICOL, and the entire news team, thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with us and enjoy the rest of our programs.